Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top team of PvPoke and also the top performer. I made a video recently about the Mandibus being the top performer, but now PvPoke updated the website, and so the new top performer is going to be Altaria. And Altaria is also in the top team for PvPoke, which they didn't update. But as I saw a lot of people asking me to showcase this team, I'm just going to deliver right now. We're going to have a team here of the Altaria in the lead. We're going to have the Skarmory mainly as a say-so, but it's going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to talk a little bit about this as well. And then the Lantern in the back. Here, for example, first battle, we're going to see a very, very toxic line, which you're going to be able to RPS. So that is great. So how did this team go for me? Here, for example, in this battle, we're going to get Walt on the lead. We're going to have a very decent say-so for us, though, with the Annihilate, which you're going to be able to get at least a shield advantage. This team was actually totally okay. You see, every battle that I did with this team, I went in total of 6-4 with this team, and I could have won at least one more battle. So this is for sure a usable team. There would be one change there, would you, which you're going to talk a little bit about later, because you're definitely going to see one matchup where this kind of matters. But yeah, basically, this team definitely still kind of works. There are definitely some issues as well, though, but Altaria is a good Pokemon. Like, Altaria is for sure one of the best Pokemon that you can run in the current meta. I really enjoyed Altaria, and it's a very cheap Pokemon as well. Of course, like, you have to evolve it for 400 candies. But here, the opponent decides to forfeit as well, and we can move on to the next opponent. This is going to be an Annihilate in the lead. This is going to be also kind of great, as most Annihilates don't really run the charge move of Ice Punch anymore. And here I make a great play of swapping into the Skarmory, and this battle is really bothering me, which you're going to see here now as well. The opponent is going to have a very tough matchup right now. We were kind of walling the lead. We were kind of catching a move here, which is kind of nice for us. The only thing that I have to do here is to go for a Sky Attack, but because I thought, okay, the opponent, there's no way that they're going to use a shield here either, I'm just decided to go for the Brave Bird, and I have no idea why I did this, because they decided to use a shield, and now I'm going to be in a spot where I cannot realign if the opponent is going to try to force it. So what I can do is I can still go for a Sky Attack, and I thought, based on the damage that they do with a Lick, I still would be able to reach another Sky Attack afterwards, but as you're going to see here, I decided to use a shield. I thought I would still get to another one. We're going to see that, of course, we are not going to be able to get to another one, and not even close, like 2 fast moves or like 2 turns away, basically. So we are now losing switch advantage against a matchup that we should have won for sure, and this is just really silly by me. Like, this is something that I should have not done at all. And they would have had a Durong in the back, which we would have hardwalled with our Lantern, and so if I just kept alignment by going just straight for the Sky Attack and not risking anything, I would have been able to win this game fairly easily. And so, sadly, like this, we're going to not be able to do anything here, as the opponent, of course, has the Shadow Ball. They're gonna get us low enough, and so we don't even reach another charge move, and the opponent can easily win this one. This would have been also the battle that I meant that I should have won if I just played it a little bit better, but let's move on to the next one. We're going to see here one of the big issues as well. I just don't really enjoy having the Skarmory as your basically say-so here for this team, because there are a lot of Lantern, and as you can see here, this battle is going to be kind of difficult to win. The opponent has a lead that I don't like with any of my Pokemon, basically, with the Powder Snow variant of the Shadow, Alone, and Sandslash having access to moves that are going to hit both of my Pokemon that I still have remaining here for super effective, even like double super effective damage against our Altaria. So this is not going to be great. We can still take any move here, and honestly at this point I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna forfeit this game already, because there's no way I can still win this. Even Lantern has a bad matchup against the Sandslash, but the opponent makes a crazy misplay. Honestly, like, I did not expect that there was any chance of me winning this game, but they're going to literally give me this game here kinda by swapping into the Mantine, allowing us to go for the full farm down. I'd rather take the energy than do any damage against the opponent here with my charge moves, and now we are at 100 energy, and the world is a completely different one, because now we can go for the Surf, try to get a shield from the opponent. Let's see if this is going to work. It does work, and so we can go straight for the Thunderbolt afterwards, which will be able to do a ton of damage against them, and with this we will definitely be able to win this game, as they decide to forfeit. Like, this was one of the craziest comebacks I think I ever had on a game. That was kind of wild, but again, I have to say as well that I encountered quite a lot of really bad leads for this team, and like, this team kind of lives by winning the lead, because you have an RPS backline by Skarmory as well as the Lantern, and you kind of really want to win the lead. But I encountered so many Azumarill as well. They're going to be way more coming up as well, so it is going to be a little bit tricky. Here I still will be able to go for a charge move, which is kind of nice against the opponent's Lickitung. This is going to do a ton of damage here with with the Brave Bird that they didn't even shield. And so I can go for the full farm down with my Altaria, but I have to hope basically that my Lantern will be great against whatever they have in the back as well. But with a LilyNiRiain there already, I would imagine that there's going to be something in the back as well that they're going to hardwall the Lantern with. Let's see if they're going to have something for that. We can go for the full farm down. They're definitely going to swap back into their Azumarill, and it's going to be in the back, of course, a hard wall of the Venusaur. So literally zero chance for me to win this game. There was nothing I could have done. The opponent is going to still have the Venusaur now, but actually there would be still one play that I could have maybe done here. So let's see if this is going to actually work. If we farm them all the way down, we might get enough energy to go ahead and basically beat the Azumarill with it. But there's one issue which I'm going to talk about as well, which you kind of see a lot of times actually in the battles that I did here. Back in the day, like only like 3 seasons ago, I think, Sky Attack was 45 energy, when like Noctowl was still everywhere. Now it's 50 energy, and like the 50 energy, for example here, we might have been able to actually go for 3 Sky Attacks if it was 45 energy, but like this, I know that I cannot win this game anymore, and so I decided to forfeit this one. There's going to be another game, which is I think the final game, actually I saw that already, which is going to be impacted by the change of Sky Attack quite a bit, which you're going to take a look at as well. But for sure, Altaria is definitely way weaker than it was back in the day still. It is still a very solid Pokemon because it's one of the bulkiest Dragon-type Pokemon that is currently available in the Go Battle League, but would I really recommend you to use it? We will still see most likely one matchup where I can talk about what I would rather would do, and like it's not really something too surprising, but why I feel like this might be not the most ideal team. Even though I went, again, like I would have been 7-3 if I played the one matchup a little bit better that you saw earlier as well. So like this team definitely still does work out, like you can definitely still use it. It was definitely a very solid team to use, but I still feel like there would be another option which would be a little bit better. Here we see actually a Gallade and the opponent has a Feraligatr in the back, and they decide to stop attacking now as well because they know this game is over, and so they just decide to forfeit now as well, and we can move on to the next one. Altaria into Bastion. This is exactly the matchup that I wanted to talk about. This team just dies to Gressel. Like, this team just literally dies to it. What would be different is if you would run either Goodra, where you have Awkward Tail as well, but even better, the Shadow Dragonair most likely in the lead, you're going to be able to actually put on a fight against the Bastion. Like, since basically the Awkward Tail got buffed, especially, I know it for, I haven't played the Goodra yet, but I know it from the Dragonair. The Dragonair matchup against the Bastion is actually kind of bad nowadays for the Bastion, which is kind of wild. And so here you're gonna see like the classic Daraso line of the Bastion, the Wigglytuff, as well as the Victory Bell in the back. But here you see me also staying in kinda because I have to get rid of this Pokemon, because I know that they're going to basically align themselves with their Bastion later on against my Skarmory, so I kinda need to get rid of this thing first, because they're gonna swap out then into their Victory Bell. But of course, because it takes so long, the time kinda ticks down, and so the opponent can swap out immediately afterwards again, which is going to be a little bit tricky here because they're swapping into the Victory Bell. They're going to have the Bastion here, and I thought of actually going for Flashkin over Brave Bird for this team, which I could see actually have some play, especially in like this kind of scenario. But then again, like, Brave Bird was kind of nice in some scenarios as well, which you most likely even see some more as well coming up because the battles are kind of randomized, but definitely Brave Bird had a lot of play as well. So I feel like Skarmory is like one of those Pokemon where you kind of want to have 3 charge moves, which is kind of funny because 2 of your charge moves have the same typing. But yeah, we're going to be able to go for another Sky Attack here, try to knock them out, but of course the Victory Bell is going to be able to just clean up this game, and we can just decide to forfeit. Next opponent going to be Stone Collection. He is actually on the leaderboards, I think, pretty high up. I think like 3rd place or whatever for the Play Pokemon tournaments, which is kind of cool. But here we see one of the benefits of Altaria. In this scenario, against Dragonair, you're going to be able to just farm it all the way down and realign yourself, which you saw already in the first matchup, I think, in this video. But here we see it again, which is kind of great for us, because now we see here the opponent has the Lantern. We can go into our own Lantern, and they're going to swap into the LilyNiRiain. I stay in here for a little bit because the fast move damage does not really matter too much here, but I know that I can resist all the charge move damage onto my Skarmory, which is really great for us. So at this point, we can just let every move go through. I know that my Skarmory is only going to do anything against the LilyNiRiain. There's a one thing that is kind of going against it at this point, because we waited out quite a long time with our Lantern. The opponent might be able to swap out a little bit earlier than us, which can be a little bit of a problem for us, but we can just go ahead, let the body slams go through. I don't really care too much about the health on this Pokemon Pokemon. And so I decided to go for the Brave Bird here against the opponent's Lantern, which might put them into range where I can just go for a Surf as well, which is going to be great. I can no swap out as well. Surf is coming through. Maybe we get a shield here from the opponent. Let's find out. They do not decide to shield, but I can go for the full farm down. They can go for a Thunderbolt. I showed most likely went for the Thunderbolt as well, which would have been a little bit safer here, but it is still going to be fine. We can farm them down. In comes now the Lickitung. I decide to go for the bait here. They might call this, which would be a little bit tricky, but they decide to go ahead and use a shield. By the way, if my voice sounds a little bit different or whatever in general right now in this video, hay fever is kind of destroying me right now, so I'm sorry about this, but yeah, hopefully it's going to be better soon. But here we're going to see the Thunderbolt coming through, knocking them out, and we can easily win this game as well. Next opponent coming up, we're going to have the Mantine in the lead, and this is going to be a lead which I kind of make a mistake here, but kind of not really knowing, because I decided to swap out of here. And this was actually a little bit of a mistake, because I thought they have Ice Beam. They don't have Ice Beam, they have Water Pulse, and so if I stayed in, the best move that I could have went for would be Aerial Ace, which is not really great. And so this can be a little bit of a trickier one. They go for another Water Pulse, but I decided to go straight for the big Brave Bird here, hoping that the opponent won't let the move go through, and they decide to let the move go through. And this is going to be so important, because now we can still realign. In comes now the opponent's Medicham, I think it was, if I remember correctly. Exactly, they're actually running Medicham, which I kind of should take a look at as well, because I feel like maybe it has some play right now, like people don't really use this Pokemon anymore, but might be still a viable pick. But here we're going to be able to go ahead and go for our own Sky-Attack coming through, doing some decent damage. In comes a Gligar, and this is going to be a little bit tricky here, because we're still in a decent spot, like we're definitely still in a decent spot, and I can just go ahead and try to get a shield from the opponent by going for a Sky Attack. This will allow us to hopefully get the shield advantage. Exactly, now we can swap out into our Lantern, and now we just have to basically shield the dig. And I decide to go ahead and no shield the first one. Stupid mistake, literally stupid mistake. There was no need for this, because now we are in range for just one Aerial Ace or whatever the Medicham wants to go for. And so the opponent is 2 shields down, but we are kinda down in terms of the match itself, because I can swap out after this Aerial Ace into their Medicham, and they're going to be able to most likely knock me out here. But they actually decide to go for the Power Punch, and I make a crucial play. I decide to go for a not full, but kinda undercharge. And like those few bubbles that I hit were actually super important, because like this, the opponent, I guess, doesn't get as much damage on me anymore with the counter, but I still get a ton of damage here, or like a ton of energy, which is kinda important, because we have to outspeed that Gligar. Can we outspeed it? It's going to be insanely close, and yes, we can outspeed the opponent, go for a Sky Attack, and still win the game because of that undercharge. Moving on to the next opponent, the final one for today, we're going to see here actually a Bronzong. Bronzong is a cool Pokemon for sure. Bronzong is a Pokemon that is going to be a kind of core breaker, but at least we're going to be able to catch the move. And this was actually the battle which I felt like that the Sky Attack nerf, which you have actually twice in this team, which is kind of funny, really impacted the game itself, which is totally fine. Like, it is just what it is, but it's just like something that you can see on how Altaria changed over time, because Altaria was like so overpowered basically back in the day, like everybody was using it. But since Sky Attack got nerfed, like next to nobody was using it for a long time, now it's kind of coming back. Here I make a little bit of a mistake, because I thought of going for the Lantern first, but I thought they might not be straight at another Icy Wind, but they were at another Icy Wind, so this was a little bit of a mistake by me to swap into my own Altaria. But I can still go for a charge move here, trying to knock them out, and I know that my Lantern kinda still has to carry in the back anyway. But as you're gonna see here, the opponent has the worst possible Pokemon for me in the back, which is going to be the Whiscash, which has super effective damage against me, and they can just go ahead and take those serves like it's nothing. So you can see here, if we can still reach another serve, that would be kinda great, but they decided to go for a charge move. It's not going to be enough. They would be able to outspeed me, but maybe I can still get some damage onto them, and I will be able to get some damage onto them, which might be kinda great for me. But I think the opponent actually has a different kinda idea for this game, which is a smart idea, because they decide to go for a charge move now, which will knock me out. They would have another charge move stored already at this point, so using a shield doesn't matter. But I can decide to now try to go for the full farm down. They try to go for the Scald debuff, which is a smart play. They don't get it, but here, as you're gonna see, I would have been able to most likely reach 2 Sky Attacks fairly easily in time if it was just the 5 less energy that I was before, especially as we went for 1 Sky Attack prior. We would have had enough energy to knock them out here for sure and win the game, but since that got changed, it is going to be sadly a loss here. Well played by the opponent, of course. Okay, they kind of hardwalled me as well, but it is what it is. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.